Dustin's perspective. Okay, man, just do it, I whispered emphatically, giving Eddie a gentle push towards the table where listener sat with her friends. Eddie's perspective. Time seemed to slow down as I found myself standing before listener. My heart pounded in my chest with anticipation and a hint of trepidation. Listener's perspective. Eddie's appearance at my table had taken me by surprise. I had always been aware of his reputation as the school's freak, but there was something about his nervous demeanor that softened my heart. Listener's perspective. So, Eddie, I said, breaking the silence, what brings you to our table today? Eddie's perspective. I wanted to tell you that I think you're amazing, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I'm too scared to tell you in person, but Dustin convinced me to. Listener's perspective. A wave of warmth spread through me. I had never considered Eddie to be interested in me, but his words filled me with a newfound respect for him. Listener's perspective. Well, Eddie, I said with a hint of mischievousness, my voice. I'm glad Dustin convinced you to tell me. I have to admit, I've always been a bit intrigued by you. Listener's perspective. Eddie's face lit up with joy and disbelief as he heard this. Really? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Listener's perspective. I nodded, my eyes sparkling. Yes, Eddie. I think you're pretty cool too. Listener's perspective. As we talked and laughed, I couldn't help but marvel at the transformative power of love. It had taken a metalhead and a shy girl from different worlds and brought them together. Listener's perspective. Years later, as we exchanged vows in a small ceremony surrounded by our friends and family, Dustin couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. He had played a small part in bringing these two amazing people together. End quote. Epilogue. Eddie and listener started dating soon after that day in the Hawkins High School lunchroom. Their relationship was one of acceptance, support, and mutual respect. Eddie's confidence blossomed as he found someone who appreciated his individuality, and listener discovered that beneath Eddie's tough exterior was a compassionate and caring heart.